For those of you that are with us for the first time, we've been kind of in this series. We just started last week, laid the foundation for a series called #Struggles. Some look at that and they're like, what's that hashtag all about? Well, we called it #Struggles because a hashtag kind of forms a label between, just before a word, kind of a prefix before a word or before an unspaced phrase. And it forms a grouping that's kind of searchable online. And so in this series, we're grouping together some of the common struggles people tend to face. And if you were not here last Sunday, I would encourage you to consider dropping by at gotothepoint.com where you can watch or listen online and catch up, because last week's message was kind of foundational to some of the things we're going to be talking about. Even though today's message and the rest are all standalone messages, that one is kind of a broader general message that applies to all the valleys and the struggles of life that every one of us face. Nobody is exempt. We all get in on this, but how do we get through those things? God can help us. And today we're going to get more specific. We're going to look at an area in life where we all struggle from time to time, and that's in the area of relationships. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to John chapter 13. I'll be reading today from the New Living Translation. And we'd encourage you to turn there or thumb there, go there online, whatever works for you. We'll also have it on the screen for you. John chapter 13, verses 34 and 5. And we want to look at the issue of relationships through the lens of this passage where Jesus is speaking. Jesus said to the group that had gathered there, he says, "Now I'm giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples." Isn't it interesting that Jesus didn't say that people will know you are my disciples because you have perfect theology? He didn't say they will know you are my disciples because you have perfect attendance. You never missed a Sunday. He didn't say you'll have, people are going to know you're my disciples because you have perfect behavior. And all of these other things are good, but the key element, the thing that he points out, he says, you're going to be known as a disciple of mine is because of your love. It's not because you've got a Christian fish on the back of your car. Although there's nothing wrong with Christian fishes. I mean, have a whole little school of Christian fishes across the back of the car. That's okay, but that's not what tells people that you're a disciple. Sometimes we think certain symbols can identify us as Christians. There used to be a bumper sticker, honk if you love Jesus. I've never thought of anybody that was honking at me that they were honking because they loved Jesus. I never had the bumper sticker, but later I started seeing people with a bumper sticker that says, tithe if you love Jesus. Anybody can honk. I thought that was a good one. I actually considered having that one on my car as a pastor. I thought I may get that one, but with the rollout of our new church name, we made these yard signs. Most of you saw these. We had to order them 2 times to get enough, and some still said, hey, I didn't get one, and they're so much more expensive to just buy 1 or 2. We had to buy, bunches of them, and I see those around, and I love seeing them, and some of them are going up and just staying up, and others are kind of up for the weekend, then they're gone, then they're up, and I think that's good because they don't just blend into the landscape, but I appreciate people putting those signs up, but is there anything about that sign that identifies you as a disciple of Jesus Christ? I mean, obviously not. What does it tell people? It tells people that you go to church at the Point, or you stole the sign from somebody that does. That's what it pretty much tells people, isn't it? You got those 2 options. But that's not evidence that you're a true disciple. There are companies, I was talking to somebody the other day, they had on a Christian t-shirt, and there are hats and jewelry, and they all have these messages. And these things, even though they have great messages, and wearing them's fine as a way to witness, but that doesn't really tell people that you're a disciple of Jesus Christ. You can wear all kinds of things. A lot of people have been wearing the Point t-shirts, and we're glad about that too. And actually, I should mention in this service, we're down to like a handful, 7 or 8 shirts. That's all we've got left out of several hundred of them. And they're all larges, and they're at the Welcome Center. And when those are gone, that's it. This time, they're gone. And so if you didn't get one, and you're a large, stop by the Welcome Center. If you consider this your church home, get that thing and put it on and wear it proudly. I've been loving seeing the shirts out in the community and seeing pictures of people online. I'll notice in the background there at a family reunion, I'll see, hey, somebody's got the Point t-shirt on. It just jumps out at me, and I love that. I always notice it. But let's be honest. A t-shirt is not evidence that you're a disciple of Jesus Christ. I mean, you're saying if you're wearing, a cross t-shirt or cross jewelry or a hat that's got a message, you're saying that, making a statement, but it doesn't really prove that you're a disciple. We were thinking about doing window clings, actually. The point window clings are bumper stickers. And then we opted out because we've seen how some of you drive, and we thought that's not going to be a very good witness. Actually, it came up in the meeting, we've seen how you drive, Pastor, and I don't think that would be a good idea to see you out there with a sign that says the point on your vehicle. But Jesus said, you will be known as my disciples, not because of what you wear, not because of a sign in your yard, not because of a sticker on your car, but because of your love for one another. So in your notes, jot this down. Our love for others is the evidence of our faith. Our love for others is the evidence of our faith. We're talking about relationships. See, loving God and loving people, that ought to be the priorities of the life of a disciple. And what I want to talk to you about today is something I don't think I've ever really talked about. I might have alluded to it, but I've never zeroed in on it like I'm going to today. As technology impacts our world, it is impacting the way we think about relationships. It is impacting the way we do relationships. And relationships, as a result, are changing. Heard about a kid that texted his mom, and he says, "Mom, where are you?" That's the text message. And she texts back, "Leaving Walmart, halfway home, be there soon." "Why, sweetie?" "Mom, you brought me to Walmart." She left him behind. But he couldn't have told her that before until she got home and could answer the phone. So technology's changing relationships. And let me tell you a couple of ways how that's happening. Number one, the term friend is evolving. Probably you've seen that. A friend used to mean somebody you did life with. You were together, you knew each other, you knew your likes and dislikes. You spent a lot of time together. Now somebody could be a friend or considered a friend, and they may be hundreds of miles away. They may be thousands of miles away. Maybe you've never even met them in person, but they're considered a friend. I read this week that the average adult Facebook user has 328 online friends. And that's online. The average person, though, the average American, has about 2 real friends, close friends. Some I've talked to would say, I don't have any really close personal friends. So what's so interesting is that number of close friends is actually down from 6 just 2 decades ago to 2 now, and things are changing, and we're maybe not as connected as we thought. The term friend is evolving, no question about that. A second factor that I want us to consider is the idea that we're becoming addicted to immediate affirmation. We post a comment or a picture, and then what happens? We all do it. All of us that are on social media, you post a picture, you post a comment, and you're aware because you start getting notifications. You got a like. Oh boy, got a like. Somebody liked what I posted. Somebody commented on what I posted. And we begin to be aware of that. We notice who's making the comments, and we also notice who is not making comments or who's not liking our post. With the birthday notification thing, I don't do birthdays, period. I can't. Because every day there's several people with birthdays. And see, I'm the kind of guy that I'm afraid that if I start doing your birthday, tomorrow I'll miss your birthday. And it's like, I want to be no respecter of persons, so nobody gets a birthday greeting from me. I just do it like that. But the deal is, we're into this immediate gratification, and that truly does stimulate the brain's reward center. There's a chemical reaction in our brain to this immediate gratification. And the truth of the matter is, it can become addictive. It's called dopamine. It can become addictive. And so people are hooked on social media, and it's changing the way they do relationships. Number 3, we have the power to do friendship on our own terms. If you text me, I have all the power. I can decide if I will reply to you. I can decide when I will reply to you. I am in control, 100% control. If someone posts a picture on Facebook, I have the power. I can decide, is that worthy of a like or not? Is it worthy of a comment or not? I respond on my terms. If I feel the picture is worthy, I may like it. If I feel it's not, I may not say anything, or I may make a comment. There's all kinds of ways. And if I get tired of how many pictures a person posts, I can decide to unfollow them in the blink of an eye because I am in control. See how that works? Another way of being in control is because all of a sudden I'm in a place to do friendship on my own terms. I can do friendship on my terms. I can show you the part of me I want you to see. I can show you the best and hide the rest. And that's what a lot of people do. And next Sunday, we're going to talk about that whole idea of managing, the authenticity in our life and trying to be authentic and being genuine and being real. I want you to take a look at this next picture. And in some ways, we are more connected than we've ever been, and yet we've never been more alone. We've all seen that. A lot of us would have to say we've done it. See, technology is undeniably redefining how relationships look. But that does not change the fact that Jesus said our love for others is the evidence of our faith. And before we go any further, I just want to say real quick, I am not anti-social media at all. I posted on Facebook about church today. I will post and be on this afternoon. I'm not opposed to it. There's so many benefits, so many possibilities to social media. It can be a really good thing. I love how we can connect using technology. I use social media almost every day of my life to try to minister to people and stay connected. And, I would be glad to connect with people on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. The Point has a very strong online presence of social media, thanks to Dustin Lafferty, who's our cyber ministry director. I got to tell you the truth. I've been in the ministry 30 years. When we started out, I never even thought about having a cyber ministry director. That never crossed my mind. 10 years ago, it didn't. I thought about it'd be nice to have a Facebook page, but a cyber ministry director, really? But we've got a person that, he's responsible for the website and he's responsible for our Facebook page. And you can join hundreds who have liked the church's page. And you can go at facebook.com/The Point IN for Indiana. It's a great way to stay connected. And we use it to keep up and to communicate with our church family. But here's what you need to realize, and this is the truth. Social media, like so many things in life, is amoral. It's not something that is good or bad in and of itself. It's not innately good or bad. What makes it good or bad is how we use it. And here's what I want you to get out of the message today. Online technology and all of these resources, they can all be a very good thing, but they must be managed. And if you're not careful, if it's not balanced, social media and technology and all this stuff can actually hinder genuine relationships and rob you of that which God values most in our lives. So the question is, how do we develop the discipline to stop all the scrolling and all the clicking in order to engage in what we really need and I think what we really want in life? And so you may be sitting there and saying, well, I don't really do social media or whatever, but most everybody in this room has one of these. And so whatever we're talking about with social media, it applies to your telephone, it applies to technology, your computer, it could apply to your television, but we're kind of focused on something along the lines here with social media and our hashtag struggles and relationships. And so in the spirit of that, this has application for every one of us in some way. I want to give you some ways that you can manage these things that can rob so much of the important things in our life. Number one, I would encourage you to practice the power of presence. We need to rediscover the power of presence in our world today. We've forgotten what it looks like to truly be present with one another, to truly be present. See, Christmas is coming, and I can't imagine how fast time is flying by. It's going to be Thanksgiving, and I've seen Christmas trees. You have too, and it's coming upon us. One of the names of Jesus that we talk about more at Christmas than probably any other time is the name Emmanuel, God with us. I love that name. Well, the powerful truth of that story is God did not shout his love to us from heaven. He came to show us his love here on earth. Big difference. He didn't shout it out from heaven. He didn't send us a text message or a tweet or post on our wall. He came to show us that he loved us. God became flesh to be with us. See, presence is powerful. Don't settle for something less with the people you love. And, we preach and teach toward application around here, and we try to be really practical. And so I want to get really practical in this because I need it, you need it, we all need it, I think. The way to do this is to, first of all, be present. Be present in the people's lives. Don't pretend. Romans chapter 12, verse 9. Don't just pretend to love others. Really, really love them. Be present. Don't just pretend. One of the ways to really love others is by being present in their life. Continue on in Romans chapter 12, verse 10. It says, love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other, honoring one another. If you look at those two verses, talking about don't just pretend, don't just give into a facade. Make sure, don't just pretend to love others. Verse 10, love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring them. How do we honor one another? We need to think about that. And then verse 13, when God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. Let's say your friend is hurting. Your friend's going through a tough time. Perhaps there's been a death in the family, or maybe they lost their job, or maybe the doctor's appointment this week didn't go like they had hoped. And you're aware of that. There's all kinds of ways you can reach out to them, isn't there? Somebody lost a loved one or a friend, and I could text them, "Hey, thinking about you," and that's good. I mean, I'm not down on that, and I appreciate an encouraging text. Praying for you, that's good. I could call them. Did you know that you can actually dial up a person? I mean, you can't rotary dial, don't try that, but you can actually call a person and talk to them on this device. And so you could do that, and you could call them instead of text them. Texting's good, but I'd kind of say calling them's even better. But you know what's best? Is to go to them. Man, just show up, because there's power in presence. And I think people kind of are a little bit afraid, to show up sometimes, because they're thinking, man, I don't know what to say. What if I say the wrong thing? We're so hung up on saying the right thing, and on social media, I can control what I say. I can present to you the me I want you to see. I can edit my statement. I can make sure it's just right before I click post. But if I show up, I may say something foolish. I may not say the right thing, and we worry about it. Here's the thing with presence. We need to realize this. Sometimes you don't need to say a word. Sometimes you just need to be there. That's what makes a difference. There's a ministry of presence. We talked about that when I was in training for ministry many years ago. They would talk about the ministry of presence, just showing up, just being there. There's a difference between praying for somebody and praying with them. And there's no doubt we can love from a distance with technology, but we can do so much more when we're face to face. And when somebody's hurting, I just want to encourage you. I saw an incident here just a while back, and somebody was talking to some folks, a group, 2 or 3 people, about a loved one that had passed away. And one of the people that was listening got a text. And while this person is brokenhearted with tears, telling 3 people, and I was one of them, what was going on in their life, somebody started doing that. Bad stuff. We miss the point so much. When somebody is hurting, put the phone down, ask them to lunch, go to them, hold their hand, hug them, look them in the eye, pray with them, not just for them, have them over for dinner, decide you'll invest with people. I'm not trying to beat up on anybody, because I've got to preach to myself as much as anybody here. This is not easy, but it's something that we've got to do. People are missing out on the joy of presence and community today. So be present. Be present when you're with people. Shut it off, turn it off, put it away. Look them in the eye. Listen to what they're saying. Try to connect with them. Show a little empathy. Show a little sympathy. Show some concern. Show them some love. Be present. Second thing we can do is be engaged. Be engaged. This is really important, and I get under conviction at this point because, as I said, I come to you as one who struggles. My wife, I was talking to her about this message. She said, you're gonna end up at the altar yourself if you keep it up. And I said, I know that, and I intend to admit that. I'm not trying to present this as somebody that's got this figured out, and you're welcome to call me out. I may be talking to you somewhere in the next week or so, and you're gonna see me do it. I don't intend to, but if I do, I give you freedom to say, Steve, how about be present? How about just pay attention? How about be engaged with me here in this conversation? I'm trying to do that because I see how easy it is to get wrapped up in all this other stuff. And I'm understanding that being engaged is not just about being in the room. It is about being mentally and emotionally and spiritually engaged. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8. Most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other. I want to show you a couple of pictures. Which of these pictures portray the deepest love and respect for the other person? Picture A, two people in the same room, probably husband and wife, having a bowl of granola at their age, probably. Fiber One, who knows what. And then here's another couple. Now, they're younger, and maybe if they're not careful, they're headed down the path of the first couple, but look at them. Now, I can tell you what would change the demeanor on this picture here, is you put a cell phone up to either one of their faces, and all of a sudden it doesn't give you the same vibe or the same feel or the same look as what we saw in that picture to begin with. It begins to look very much like that first picture. We see those pictures, we've all seen a couple in a restaurant or a family sitting together in a restaurant and everybody's on the phone. I've seen two people sitting side by side and they're both on their phones, and I'll joke to them, hey, you guys talking to each other? Why don't you just look at each other? You don't have to text them, talk to them, I mean, and I've done it. I've been there when our kids are around and we're all sitting around the house, at a holiday, and it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Everybody's got their phone and their iPad and their tablet and whatever, and it's crazy. So it's good to talk about it maybe before the holidays, because the deal is you can be alone together. You can be alone together. The challenge is be engaged, be present. This has application, I think, for just about every relationship. I mean, there's this never-ending flood of information that's coming your way through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and email and text messages and the internet in general and even an occasional phone call. It's never-ending. It's never-ending. And the problem is not only that we have disengaged, but we're becoming so rude and inconsiderate on levels we would have never thought possible a few years ago. And what's sad is we don't even seem to realize what we're doing. I mean, can you imagine sitting together, Dwight and I are sitting in the restaurant, we're having lunch together, and we're having this conversation, and in the middle of the conversation, Dwight's talking, and I pick up a book, and I read a couple of chapters or a couple pages while he's still talking. And then I put it back and come back to the conversation in a minute or two or three or five or whatever. I mean, we would never do that. And yet we do it all the time by checking Facebook and email and text messages in the middle of a conversation with somebody who is standing right in front of us. Are we loving one another? Are we honoring one another? Are we respecting one another? Or imagine having a conversation and I just, we're having a talk. And then in the middle of you talking to me, I decide to walk over here and I start talking to Danny, and you're still talking, and then I get done with Danny, and then I come back to you. Isn't that kind of what we do? I mean, we're doing that all the time. We don't see it that way, but that's really what's happening in so many cases. We're standing face to face with somebody, and we say they matter, but the entire time we're looking at something else or somebody else. We're staring at a screen. And again, I'm wanting to be one that says, Lord, search my heart. I want to do better in this because I see it. I see it. And sometimes, isn't it true that you can see it in others easier than you can see it in yourself? But we've got to step back and understand the importance of that, because I believe in the power of relationship, and I want to be present, and I want to be engaged with the people that God brings into my life. Every time that thing goes off, there's something, though, within me that I can't stand not to look. I want to know who it is. I want to know what it is. It's the question of what's urgent and what's important, and there is a big difference. Because when you think about urgency, there's a lot of things in life that are urgent but are not important. Isn't that true? Urgent is like the ringing phone. I feel this urgency. I got to answer that phone and got to see who it is. I got to pick up the telephone and see what's going on. I got to look at that text message. It may be something really important. I love it when you're in a conversation with somebody and it goes off and they say, hey, I got to take this. I got to take this. And I'm like, I'll bet you do. I want to take the phone and say, let me see what it is. Let me hear it. Let me read it. I want to see, really, do you need to do it? Is it that urgent? There's a difference between what's urgent and what's important. And I would tell you that urgent things are not always important, but important things are urgent. And the important things in life are real relationships. See, people are, battling a new fear these days. FOMO, you know what that is? Fear of missing out. It's a new phobia. There's always something, isn't there? Something new. The new one's FOMO, fear of missing out. We're afraid we're going to miss out on what's online. Somebody may post a funny picture and we didn't get to see it. We missed out. It won't be there later. We'll have to see it as soon as they post it. We want to be the first one to like or comment or whatever. And we miss out, though, on what's going on right in front of us. And so the challenge is to say, husbands and wives, turn it off, talk to each other. Do you know that today Facebook is named in 25% of divorce papers? 1 in 4 of divorce proceedings, Facebook is named as a contributing factor. Moms and dads, your children are begging for your attention. And I know some would say, well, yeah, they're begging for my attention, but they're on their thing. They're on their phone all the time. I get it. It's your job as a parent to engage them and show them that there's more to life than looking at a screen. And some of these kids, our grandkids and our children, they're looking at the screen, at the earliest stages of life. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. They've got these little things going. And I'm not saying they're wrong. Don't get me wrong on that. Don't say, hey, we ought to get rid of, or the preachers. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we've got to learn to balance these things so that we can look people in the eye and be present and be engaged. And it's our job as parents to do that. You may miss out on something online, but don't miss out. Please listen to me. You may miss out on something online, but please don't miss out on what's happening right in front of your face, especially with your children and with your grandchildren and with your spouse and the people that you love. Don't miss out on your marriage. Don't miss out while your children are growing up. Don't miss out on the things that matter most. Now, here's the thing as we kind of begin to wrap up. In the way of application, is there a specific point that needs to be applied in your life or family? And if there is, how do you do that? What are you going to do about it? Maybe you need to decide, hey, we're going to set up some guidelines at our house. We're going to say, maybe no phones at the dinner table. Hoping that you have dinner at the table once in a while. No phones at the table. Or maybe you're going to say, no phones after a certain hour in the evening. Or no phones when you have company or when you're out to dinner with somebody. How are you going to handle those things? And let me just say this to husbands and wives. If you're in bed and you and your spouse are both on your iPhone or your laptop or your tablet or whatever it is, and guys, I'll say it to you, I'll talk to the guys. You're tempted to email your wife and ask if she's in the mood, or you're tempted to text her and ask how's it going. That tells us it's gotten out of hand. And what's so scary to me is if you do that and she texts back and says #headache, then you know that your relationship has gone to a whole new level and you truly are a new century, new millennium kind of family. But don't go there, okay? Don't even go there. 1 John chapter 3, verse 18. Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other. Don't merely say that we love each other. Let's show the truth by our actions. People won't know that you are Christian by how many followers you have. They won't know you are Christian by how many likes you get or how fast you respond to email. People sense they're loved. When? When you are present in their lives, when you are engaged in their lives, when you are involved in their lives, when you care for them for who they are and what they are doing and who they are to you, when you're opening up your heart to them and you're loving them and doing life with them. And so my appeal to you in this struggle that we're talking about today in the area of relationships is don't be a slave to the screen. I already have a master. His name is Jesus. I don't need another master. And I've left you a place in your worship folder to fill in the blank. You can put your own carrier or you can put your own challenge. Don't allow Verizon, Sprint, AT&T, or T-Mobile or anybody else to be your master. You may want to put down in that blank your carrier, or you may want to insert, I won't allow Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or Candy Crush, and I could just keep going. I don't even want to do that because when these altars are filled here in a moment, I just hold back. Just hold back. I can tell that you can't wait to come, but I hope the Lord is speaking to you, and I hope that you're open and receptive. It doesn't mean we won't leverage technology as much as we can. It doesn't mean we should be hesitant. Oh, I can't post anything on Facebook because then the people at church, that were there this morning, they heard, or the pastoral. Hey, that's not it. We don't know how you're managing it. I'm glad to see you use it. Just make sure you manage it. And don't let it take the place of that which matters most in your life. Technology can supplement, but it will never replace the importance of close, personal, intimate relationships with the people that God has placed in your life. I want you to get that in your mind, get it in your heart, get it in your head before we go. Technology can supplement, but it will never replace the importance of close, personal, intimate relationships with the people that God has placed in your life. Don't be a slave to a screen. Don't allow the technology, don't allow the device, don't allow the app to be your master. Love Jesus, love God, love others. Make sure they know it. Be present. And be engaged in those relationships. Would you bow with me, please, as we pray and as Anonymous prepares to come? And then here later in the service, we're going to be receiving our tithes and offerings. With your heads bowed and your eyes closed, I want to ask you, is this a struggle for you? Or is it a struggle for someone you love? I mean, technology, it's a good thing, but is it negatively affecting the important relationships in your life? Are you willing to let God have freedom to reign in this part of your life? What's He saying to you today? And the bigger question is, what are you going to do about it? I mean, God's going to speak. I believe that. He's faithful. The question is, what are you going to do about it? I hope you'll discuss it with the people that are closest to you, but make sure that those discussions are had in love, not in anger or judgment or condemnation. I am a firm believer that life is better together. We all know that. We all know that life is better together. Let's live like it. Let's live like it. Lord, would you guide us into the next steps we need to take to be engaged in the lives of people? Technology will never fill the void that we all have in our life. We could keep cramming in more and more and more, but it'll never satisfy. Help us to realize that you created us to be in relationship. We were created to be in relationship with one another, and most important, we were created to be in relationship with you. And no amount of online interaction will fill the void that only you can fill. Nobody else can, no one else can do it. They can't satisfy the longing of our soul. And so, Lord, today I pray, teach us to love you and to love people, the people that you have brought into our lives. And the next time we're tempted to respond to the urgency of technology, would you help us in that moment to pause and be reminded of the importance and the blessing of face-to-face interaction with the people that we've been called to love. I pray, Lord, that you would give us all wisdom to know what to do with this. And then give us the determination to do whatever it is we need to do, in the way of setting boundaries, in the way of setting it aside, in the way of honoring and glorifying you, loving others. We pray, Lord, as we gather now and we receive our tithes and offerings, that you would bless as we tangibly put you first in this very special way. It's part of our worship on purpose. We believe in the power of giving, saying to you, Lord, we love you. And we pray you'd bless this offering and the remainder of our time together. In Jesus' name, amen.